What do you want to embody? Who do you want to be no matter what? No matter how you feel when you wake up, no matter where your hormones are, no matter how much is in your bank account, no matter what somebody DM'd you or how your father or mother voted for whatever, you're going to be this no matter what. This is the kind of unstoppability that I'm interested in. Not unstoppable to goals to prove yourself, but unstoppable in terms of I am going to be loving kindness no matter what's going on. I am going to be in integrity no matter who rips me off. I am going to be resilient and radiant and wise no matter what. That's greatness.
Let's talk about change. The truth is, nothing changes unless you change. And if you want to step into your full potential, you need to surround yourself with the right people. That is exactly why I have created the Empowered Life community. Within this community, I'm going to be teaching you the exact same mindset and energy practices that I have taught my clients that are paying me well over six figures, including CEO owners of billion-dollar organizations and professionals at the very top of their fields. You're going to get access to 2 live virtual calls every single month with me where we're going to dive into mindset, energy practices, spiritual principles that are going to help you thrive in every area of your life. Can't make a call? No worries. We're going to provide you with a recording so that you can catch up anytime. Plus, you're going to have the opportunity for direct coaching from me and to learn from incredible guest speakers who are going to share their best practices and growth. Remember, you become the people that you spend the most time with. So why not spend time within a community that is going to elevate you and your life? For an introductory $499, you're going to get a full year of support and coaching alongside high performers who are committed to expanding their careers, their growth, their finances, and to elevate their overall quality of life. Just click the link in the show notes or log into rudiriekstins.com to lock in your spot and start your transformation today. Welcome to the Empowered Life Podcast, a space dedicated to spreading the message that you have the power within to create everything you seek.
So if you're ready to enroll in a new kind of higher learning, the kind that leads to true personal freedom, then hang here with us.
We're your hosts, Rudi and Aniston Riekstins, and this is the Empowered Life. Welcome to the Empowered Life Podcast. My name is Rudi Riekstins, and today's guest is the incredible Danielle LaPorte. She's a thought leader, spiritual teacher, best-selling author. She's most known for her transformative work on heart-centered living, emotional intelligence, and personal growth. Through her books, The Desire Map, White Hot Truth, and How to Be Loving, Danielle challenges the hustle mentality and invites us to lead with love, deepen our self-awareness, and align ourselves to our true essence. To our community, doesn't this just sound so perfectly matched for what we do and say here? Her work is just a powerful call, a shift from striving to thriving and embracing compassion, being present, and living in your authentic power. Get ready for what is no doubt going to be an unbelievable conversation today. Daniela, thank you so much for joining us on the Empowered Life podcast today. I'm super excited to have you here.
Oh, I love a good intro. That's awesome. Thank you.
You make it easy. You know, I love the credit in that, but it's like just to talk about you, your work, your life, what you're doing. It's hard not to, I'm going to use a word I love so much, to fall in love with you through all your content and just see the beauty coming through and the aspiration to be better, to do better. And so you're 100% my people. I'm just super excited to have this conversation today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So every morning, my wife and I line our calendars and we work together, and she'll say to me, okay, what do you have? What do I have? And we just go back and forth. And when she saw your name on my calendar, she was like, not fair, not fair. And so sometimes we co-host the show and she could not make it happen today. And so she's very frustrated that I didn't give her a heads up, because she absolutely loves you, loves your work. And I get to have this moment with you and introduce you to our audiences. I'm making the assumption they don't know who you already are. Oprah Winfrey, Super Soul 100, everyone must already know and have been impacted by you in some way. But I selfishly want to dive in and talk a little bit about how you think, how you feel, how you show up, where you see we're going, and how we can best get to where we're going. And so I really want to ask you, your work is around heart-centered intelligence and learning to lead with love.
How do you define what that is in today's fast-paced, hustle mentality?
Well, I'm interested in what drives ambition and the difference between ego driven, wanting, craving, goal setting, and heart centered, wanting, craving, and goal setting. And I think we are ego goal driven, and it's burning us out. We've got adrenal fatigue, we've got a compromised, every kind of ecosystem is compromised. We're more divided than ever. I mean, we all know this. Like, we can feel this. And the question is, like, what's the source? And I think it's really the inner child, the shadow self, the unhealed content of the psyche that is creating our goal setting systems and objectives. And it's crushing us. I mean, we're trying to crush the goals, and it's actually crushing our bodies and our relationship and the better life that I think we all deeply crave. But there's so much noise and miasma in the psyche and all the division. We can't even clearly hear what we deeply truly want, the heart's desires, anymore. And my personal experience, and I've like thousands of conversations now on goal setting. I'm most well known for a book called The Desire Map, which is about a soulful approach to goal setting. So that was like so many conversations and so much research on that. And my experience is, when you achieve something that you set out, it was all about proving. You get there and you don't rest, and you don't, and this is really important. This, I would say, is like my favorite insight over the last couple years, is that when you crush an ego driven goal, and you can do it, we all have done it, like, you can get the money and get the launch happening, whatever it is, there's it's more like a what next kind of empty feeling. And that is not how you build sustainable things. It's not how in business you build a sustainable brand. You're not going to build trust if you get to the goal and you're like, what's next? Bigger, higher, more clicks, more. But when you've created and you've achieved something that comes from your healed self, from your wise self, from the heart, from love, where you're asking, how might this success contribute to other people's healing? How might it be helpful? How might it be harmful? I mean, we are not inculcated to ask how our success might harm other people. We're not going to hear this in an MBA program. We just go. And my experience is that when you have those achievements that really come from heart intelligence, first of all, you rest. Well, no, actually, I'll back up. First of all, you're not totally fried and burnt out when you get there, because success really is a quality of the journey. You'll go after what you want with healthy striving, not damaging striving. When you get there, you chill a bit. You're just like, okay, like, let's celebrate. And then, and this is what I'm most interested in now, whatever you've just accomplished, you use as your stepping stone to the next thing. You let that success inform your next move. You don't blindly, automatically, robotically go, okay, we're going to go in this direction because bigger, because profit, because stakeholders. You go, okay, what did we learn from this? What did the audience tell us? What felt great about this? What was lit up? What sucked? What feels bright and energized? Okay, let's build on that. And that kind of building, I just call it vision building, is sustainable, and it's lasting, and you have better relationships, and you get your cash flows better, everything better.
So the bulk of my clients, they have achieved a tremendous amount of success. But my phone rings because they're unhappy, because they've got the house or the business or the car or the dollar values, but they don't feel that level of fulfillment. And so what you're speaking into is truly just one of the most beautiful conversations, and why I'm super excited to bring this to the Empowered Life is because we believe that the power to have and to be and to do is already in every single one of us. Like it resides within us. Yet we look externally for validation for who we are, where we need to go, what we need to achieve. But there's people that are going to be listening to this that are caught up in, I'm going to call it what it is, the hustle and the grind mentality, like the dog eat dog. We have to outwork our competitors. How do we shift to more of a soul aligned perspective? Because, you've spoken beautifully into, and if anyone goes back and re-listens, you said this is what it will feel like. This is what it will be like when you're living like that. But how do we go from the way we've always been, the way society is, to being more soul aligned, heart centered?
Well, there's two questions in there. One is how do we wake up? And then what do we do when we wake up? Like, how do we get to a more awakened life? And, the how do we wake up? Just let me do a little tough love for a second, which is I just have to say, like, how's it going for you? Like, do you need medication to sleep? How is your anxiety level? Can you rest? Do you feel like you have emotional intimacy with everybody in your life, not just your romantic partner or your best friend? And even with your romantic partner and your best friend, can you say all the things that are on your mind? Are you being held in your sharing? What's coming up in therapy? Are you always looking? Is it another therapist? Is it another executive coach? Is it, do we really need to grow 30% a year in the bottom line? Um, have you forgiven people? Do you need to ask for forgiveness? Are you carrying around shame that you would feel so much lighter without? Well, how do you feel when you look in the mirror? Whether you're ripped or you're the chubs, what's driving all of your practices, all of your ambitions? So, and this audit translates to our self-help and spiritual practices, because I just replaced Catholicism with self-help, and then I just replaced self-help with business, going. So really, what's the quality? And I think the quality shows up in our nervous system regulation, dysregulation, and in the quality of our relationships, like real intimacy, emotional intimacy, like be ourselves. We feel loving, we feel loved. And those wake up calls usually come in painful circumstances. I know you know this. I know everybody listening knows this. But my belief is that the soul will wake you up, that those awakenings, the dark night of the soul, I was having the heart tremors. I was having anxiety before the board meeting, and one more divorce, same pattern in the relationship. That is really the soul is burning the masks of the ego. You get down after the bankruptcy and you go, okay, I get it. I'm going to be myself now. And that's the awakening. And it doesn't have to be grueling and painful, but usually it is, because we're resisting and we're not doing the healing work. And then I think after those experiences, myself, my experience was, some success with vocation and great stages and great microphones and all that, and um, anxiety and panic attacks, suicidal ideation, standing on a corner outside of a cafe, leaving a voice memo for my team in tears saying, I don't know how we're going to do this, but I can't show up. I cannot be this person for a while. And you know what's beautiful about those experiences, other than the awakening, and you get who you are and you get your life back, and it's incredible. You get so powerful when you get to the other side of those things, is as you share your stories, you don't even need to be a public person. As you share those stories, as I did, you realize how predominant this is. The ballers, the CEOs that I talk to, who say they're on anti-anxiety meds or checking themselves in or just couldn't speak or couldn't get about, and it's like, This is a thing we need to talk about as a thing. This is not living. And all of that energy of confliction and anxiety is informing every sector of society, politics and education, and how we medicate ourselves. So, what do we do after we wake up? Uh, you know what you do? You do whatever you want to do. It's amazing. Yeah.
Hey, it's Rudi Riekstins here, and I want to ask you, have you ever wondered if there's more to your life and work than what you're doing right now? What if I told you that the universe is hiring and you were born to fill a role that will bring you true purpose and success? In my new #1 best-selling book, The Universe is Hiring, Discover the Role You Were Born to Fill, I'm going to show you exactly how to step into that role. This isn't just a book full of inspiration. It's a roadmap to help you start shifting into a more fulfilling life right now. You'll get clear on your unique purpose, learn how to align with your strengths, and take actionable steps towards the career and life that truly light you up. If you're ready to make a change and start living the life you were meant for, grab your copy today. Available anywhere you buy your books online or click the link in the show notes.
I was really curious how you were going to tie that back in, and I don't think your answer could be more brilliant, because you do whatever it is that you want to do when you want to do it, which is, to me, just a beautiful way of living an authentic life, which, you know, obviously you teach is to be your authentic self. But so often we're still trying to mold ourselves to fit into a very particular, you know, category, or who's going to see us, judge us based on who we are presenting ourselves to be. And I think that there's so many lessons in what you've said. You probably hit on about 5 questions that I have thought of. And I don't really pre-plan a tremendous amount of questions because I love the flow of a conversation, but I do have some running questions. You know, there's always that interview where you get nothing and you have to like pull from. And so I prepare a bunch. And so I was listening to you talk and I'm like, gosh, I want to know a little more about that. I want to know a little more about that. I want to know a little more. And what's the audience going to want to know? And so I'm going to do my best to really unpack, I guess, that one section for the rest of the episode today, because there's so much value in that. And I'm going to start from where the audience is. Let's go to those leaders that you were just referring to, because a lot of people are either listening to this because they do run large teams, or they are entrepreneurs, startup entrepreneurs, or they are in a business where they are creating impact. And then there's a demographic of people who want to be where you are right now. They want to be sharing their story. You know, they want a platform to share their story, knowing they can share it where they're at. And they're wanting to turn around and teach and share from what is their lesson. And so, you know, my question really is this: if somebody is in a corporate position and they are going through the stages of this awakening, understanding that there's more value and meaning to who they are and to their life, but they're scared to bring it into their business because they don't want the revenue to drop. They don't want the change in the performance of the people. I mean, the moment we go into a company and say, oh, if we bring in more happiness, oh, let's have meditation pods, then they shut down. They're not interested and the door closes to you because they want productivity, productivity, productivity. So how do you encourage someone who is going through this in a leadership role that has a responsibility to teach what they're learning? I speak spiritually now, to the people that are around them, because I believe there's a moral obligation to bring these people with you. So what would you say to somebody that's so nervous or hesitant to bring these practices or principles into business?
Well, this is leadership, isn't it? You know, it requires courage. So you will experience pushback. There is friction. There will be creative tension. Leadership is not about popularity. It is not about um, everybody being at your level of consciousness. Leadership is saying, I have a vision. I will enthusiastically, intimately express all layers of this vision, everything that could go wrong, everything I'm afraid of, everything I know to be true. And this is where we can go. Expressing the vision you've got to inject belief in people. Like, you have to let people know that you see the best in them and that this climb is going to bring out the best in them. And we're going to do this in a heart-centered way. I am taking your nervous system into consideration as we crush our Q4 objectives, whatever it is. and you use the word moral. I think we have to hit a hard pause and ask ourselves if we really even want to be in the game. Like great futurist Buckminster Fuller said, essentially what his teaching was, if you want to change the system, get out of the system, and the old systems that are too constricting and need to die will die. Do you want to be in this corporate place? Like, I'm delighted when I work with corporate people and they quit. I'm just like, yes, victory. Like, when you get the tears, I I I worked with a global consultancy. Everybody knows their name, specifically with women in tech in this big company. And at this point in my life, I'm just going to be myself because it's the most efficient thing to be. I sleep great at night. It's just better across the board. And so, and I'm wise enough to know you have to choose particular words, but I'm saying whatever language I'm speaking, whether I'm saying, radiance and love, or I'm talking about being courageous and team dynamics, it's all the same thing. It's about more conscious. And when you talk to women who are all hyper focused on the bottom line and getting the best performance out of people, when really it doesn't matter whether they're male or female, there's often some fear, some wizard behind the curtain that is driving that if they as a leader aren't getting the best performance out of their people, they're not worthy of the raise, the promotion, the validation, whatever, and they're out of there. So the pressure is phenomenal. And when you just go right for it and you start talking to men and women about their wounded self and what they never got from their parents and how their relationships are and how they long for real conversations with their mother or their teenager or their spouse or to find the one, then people get soft. And then the conversation really gets real. And you start being asked questions like, my boss just won't get off my back and my people are burned out. And I said, well, do you want to be there? That's really the question I want to ask. Like, do you actually want to be here? Do you want to play the game? And for lots of us, the answer is going to be no, I'm out of here. And I'm going to go do my own thing, entrepreneurial. I'm going to go back to school, whatever it is. Downsize, sell the thing. Do you need the 4-bedroom house? Bet you'd be fine, with 1-bedroom house. Okay. And then lots of us actually legit feel the call to stay in the system. I see this a lot in government. Stay in the system and change it from within. And that will require you being very well resourced. You will have to do all the things to keep your nervous system balanced so that you can, with wisdom, play the game. Like, yeah, you're going to have to wear a blazer and you're going to have to say things like instinct instead of intuition. But you got to know you, and you've got to, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but you need to have a meditation practice, a contemplative practice, a breathing practice. You need to be drinking your rooibos tea. You need to know how breath is the surest way to access. It is the life hack, a breathing practice. You got to be with people in your life with whom you feel safe. I'm all about resonance these days. Like, not about building businesses where you surround yourself with yes people, but where you really actually go where the love is. Like, and this, you see this in business all the time, where we are trained to think it should be hard. Endurance, that's the word. The root of the word endurance is suffering. And so we tell ourselves that unless we're suffering, we're not making progress, we're not worthy, we're not strong, we're not a leader. And that is absurd. It's actually sickness. That's mentally ill thinking. Ease, resonance, agreement, copacetic, all on the same page, you make more money, you save more money, you're more sane. My observation is, even if you don't hit the Q1 objectives, because we're so obsessed with growth, if you can really be a resonance building leader, well, I think it's fiscally responsible, actually. I think you save more, you need less. You may not grow by the 30% in terms of growth, but you grow in terms of profit.
I had started that question by inserting very carefully, I should say intentionally, the word that leaders have a moral obligation to the people that they are in service of. And so many leaders think that the people working for them are in service of the company or in service of them in the position. But it's the other way around, that the higher you go, the bigger the responsibility to turn around and teach and share and bring people forward. And everything that you just said is going to scare the pants off somebody who is ready to start making that leap. But you also beautifully articulated the gift that is on the other side of that. I did want to ask the question, and you already answered it, but I'm going to bring it back for the benefit of the audience. I was going to ask you a follow up, that when you do this work inside of organizations with these big leaders, do you typically see growth? And you already said, the money follows and the people follow and the joy follows into the business. And I think it's because it's a different way of being. For someone who's listening to this right now and they've never heard of Danielle before, I just want to ground something for a second, that I heard that inside of your organization, you pay very generously to everybody that works with you on your team, and that you don't want to just pay a competitive rate. You don't want to be, you want everyone to bask in the abundance of what is inside your business, but you also want to have balance, and that you want to have freedom and flexibility and vacations and joy inside, and that it's not so much about chasing. And so you're not just giving us these platitudes saying, oh, yes, this is the way to do. You live it and breathe it inside of your business, which I just think is so beautiful and probably speaks into the profound success that you have in your life and in your business. I'm going to pivot
I
for a second. Go
Mhm.
ahead.
Well, I operate in concentric circles. So my job, my vocation is to take care of myself, like the divine would want me to take care of me, to make sure I'm happy and healthy and free of suffering. What do I need to do to have that happen? And then I want to do the same thing with the people immediately around me. So that means that the business exists for the people in the business. I mean, if I am not helping people in my business get what they want in life, whether you want to rent a great apartment on the beach, or you want a mortgage, or you want to have time to make and have your babies, what am I doing? I'm damaging the people closer to. No. So you got to take care of the people around you, and then you can die happy. And then we take care of the people who come. I always refer to the business as the farm. We take care of everybody who comes to the farm. Who's been reading the books the longest? Who are the subscribers? Who are in the members in our membership? Just take care of the members. Take care of the people who are giving you their time and their money. That's growth. And then you focus on growth. And that concentric circle way for us, that informs our advertising budget. It informs all of our objectives. It informs who we need on the team. Am I good? Great. If I'm good, team's good. Team good? Great. Team's good. Membership is good. If the membership is good, then we make our money. And then I'll go try and magnetize some new people in. Then we spend money on a Facebook ad. Then I decide to do the podcast for people who have never heard from me. But if I'm not taking care of my body, my most loved ones, the next level of love, then it's a mess. It's a mess. It's expensive.
I'm glad you went there, because my follow-up question was to pivot slightly. You, in your first rebuttal, had touched on something that I wanted to go back and unpack a little more. You said you gave up Catholicism for self-development, and then you gave up self-development for overworking. And I would love for you to unpack that a little bit, because right now there is a new age of like self development and growth. And it's, are you attending the latest course, doing the latest program, the latest in person event, And I would love to know from your robust journey of going through a very strict religion where you're shamed and blamed, and then moving into self development, not necessarily, I mean, gaining a profound amount, but not gaining all the solutions there, to then pouring into your life and into your business, to then eventually who you are today, because you don't strike me as somebody who is right now a workaholic who just wants to consume, consume, consume. You seem to have found a little bit of ease, grace, and dare I say, balance. What would you say to somebody that's going through the transition from a very strict religious belief into self development, and then maybe save them the time of transferring that to pouring into their life and work as a workaholic?
Yeah. No shortcuts to initiation, but let's try. Um, well, I replaced the image of a punishing God, and I was trying to be good. I mean, this is ingrained, right? You're in grade 2 confessing your sins. Like I remember sitting, we're going to the priest, and my friends and I were all sitting there figuring out, like, what are we going to tell the priest that's bad about us? It's like, oh, I took an extra, took some extra gum. Like, okay. Um, anyway, that becomes a mature, much deeper journey about my, coming to God. Am I good enough to have my desires granted? Okay. All right. I'm going to explore some other things. I'm going to explore self help and metaphysics and the principles of manifestation, which all overlap with actual physics, which is that's such a beautiful part of the journey, to get to where mind meets heart meets science. Delicious. And I realized that I just replaced that performance, that I'm going to be good enough to get what I desire, with karma. Have I burned enough karma? Am I volunteering enough? Am I philanthropic enough? Have I been kind enough to everybody on my team? Have I given everybody on my team, even though I'm paying them great and I'm listening and I'm helping out with their dog sitting and their mat leave and all the things? Have I been generous and kind enough to get what I want, to 10x? Am I kind enough to actually have my 10x plan fulfilled? And that is also a recipe for sadness and burnout. And it's been a long trip, Rudi. Like I would say, really, it's just been in the last 2 or 3 years where I've really started to rinse that thinking, that incorrect. I mean, this is just Psych 101. That is incorrect thinking. Really rinse that away and really start to embody loving kindness in how I work and how I lead. And it's showing up. It's, I'll give you a really practical example. Like the center of my universe is my heart centered membership. We have a life track, we have a business track. And, our industry, at least, the online personal development industry, we are very launch oriented, right? And it's like the next launch and the conversion rate and the clicks and the funnels and the lead magnets and all this. And how you hustle on social and all of that. And we just had like a beautiful offering, an event. I like to call our events offerings. And that was going to be this lead magnet. You're going to do this vision building experience. And that was going to be the lead magnet into the membership. And I've reduced my team in the last 24 months from 16 people to 4.5 people. Now, we're about 2 people short and we're a little bit stretched. But the team, we could all see in ourselves, we're a self-managing team now. We're adults. Asana, our task management system, is not dictating what we do. We're all invested now. We got rid of Asana. There's no project. We operate without a project management tool. Just be grown-ups. Get it done. I don't care if you write it down on a napkin. Your job is to communicate. That's how we get it done. I could see the fatigue level. The team could see my fatigue level. I have launch fatigue. And we decided, like, let's just do this and finish it. It doesn't have to be a lead magnet. Just do it, close it. Let's take 2 months off, see what we're doing, and then we'll open the cart to the membership and just let it be that. And our membership, because of this, I mean, I could get into lead magnets and backdoor and all this kind of stuff. Because we decided to not push, in the last 4 weeks, my membership is up 39%. What? We actively, intentionally decided to not push, to not sell, to actually let the team rest. We kept delaying meetings. We really want to polish up 2025's business plan. No, we're too tired. Up 39%. Wow. It's all energy.
So for somebody who's listening to this and they're intrigued, but they don't yet understand, I would love for you to speak into how does taking rest inside of the business, when all logic externally tells us we need to push through, we need to hustle and get it done, and you're really giving us a beautiful example of what does it look like to fall back into a flow state and just to allow there's a divinity that was flowing through your business, but you had to have the awareness of being able to say, let's rest, let's close the cart for 2 months, and then let's come back without the guaranteed assurance of a 39% lift or growth in your membership. So what do you say to somebody who's like, that sounds idealistic, but yeah, I'm not Daniela, like I can't do that.
Yeah. Well, you hit the term. You got the terms for every question. Flow state. And I think there's a misperception in flow state. So most of us can get that when we're doing something we love, we lose track of time. And it's all beautiful. It's like, wow, 8 hours have gone by, a month has gone by, and I've been in my joy, I've been creating, I'm getting results. Okay. Most of us can get when we're doing something we feel overly obligated to, we don't love, it's a grind. Is it 5 o'clock yet? Is it Q1? Whatever. I think the misperception is that we think that flow state is new agey and it's hyper feminine and there's no objectives and you are literally just waiting for signs from the universe. That is in terms of physics, not how flow works. Flow for me, for us, for this business is it's like a dance. You're paying attention to the signs. Well, what did she say? What do the members want? How'd your body feel? When I tell you about this idea, how'd your body feel? Sometimes we ask that on the team. They go, I feel a lot of resistance. I feel really heavy. You go, yeah, okay. So that idea sucks. We're not going to do that. Okay. Yesterday we just had a team meeting. I gave them all these ideas and then we kind of go round robin style. And I say, what makes you feel lit up? What makes you feel heavy? I said, I'm really excited about that. Great. You will have the energy to cross the finish line. Let's go where the enthusiasm is. Flow is also not excessively attached to boundaries and numbers. So, as loving as I am, I have some people who have been on my team, and I just want to say, I am not interested in your boundaries, Ms. Millennial. Don't send me an autoresponder from your emails telling me when you do and do not check your emails. That is not going to work on this team. You will have to work on a Sunday morning. It will happen. And you can maybe take the rest of the week off. We don't have a vacation policy currently on our team. You get the job done and do what you need to do. The culture now, and this has been a transition because I've had people on my team are just like, they had their out of office responders. I had people managing other people on my team. And I watched my team say, I'm going to be taking off at 2 p.m. for a dentist appointment. I was like, that is not the business I want to run here. I don't need to know where you are. You do not need to report into this authority because you need a nap or a dentist appointment or a mental health day, or you got to pick up your kids. And the shift in the culture is really interesting. There's a level of transparency we didn't have before. So you'll hear somebody on my team at noon on a Monday saying, literally, because my chief of staff works in Nicaragua, and she'll say, I'm going to the beach. I'll check in tonight. That's how it works. And we're all online. Like, can we all check Slack channels before we go to bed tonight? Yeah. Great. Let's take Monday off. That was a great launch. See you later. People are open about having lives. I need a day with my kids. I'll get the slide deck done on Monday. Fantastic.
You know, there are people that are listening that are still thinking, wow, that sounds idyllic, but I don't know if I could put that into practice. And I just want to ground a 39% growth in her business, having shared everything that she's just shared. And so there's a challenge there at the end of every Empowered Life podcast episode. And we're not at the end, but I'm going to challenge you now and say, you know, could you be a little more like that and a little less like the way that you were? I love to say that in order to create the change, something needs to change. Like you've got to do something a little bit different if you want to achieve something that you've never achieved before. And that's a beautiful way for us to be able to show up. And if it's a scary thing for you to do in your business, then just start in your personal life and then extend that to the relationships around you. And then when you see the evidence of that change, then go a little further and maybe do it with your executive team or with some of your leaders that you trust. And then just start to see the evidence, because it really is such a beautiful shift. Danielle, I want to touch on something that everyone that knows you is going to want to know a little bit more about. And that is really your ability to support people in visioning. I'm going to use the term for the audience that don't know you, goal setting, and wanting to achieve and move their lives forward. You've just done the 12 principles of visioning that I was following on Instagram. And, you know, I am going to encourage everybody to jump onto your socials. We'll add all the links to everything in the show notes for your membership, as well as your Instagram, your website, your books, etc. But for somebody who is still stuck on wanting to live a life of power, abundance, freedom, and joy, which is the cornerstones of what I believe to be an empowered life, um, and they are setting these die-hard goals, you know, you're teaching less about the die-hard goal, and I'd love for you to share more.
Yeah. If you set a do or die by goal, you're going to die. You're going to be fried when you get there. You're not going to be able to enjoy the success. You're going to have a high turnover rate in your team. You're going to need more meds. You're going to have adrenal fatigue. You're going to put on the weight. All the things. Like, this is not success. This is not how it works. You'll have your awakening moment. You'll be like, okay, different way of setting goals. Um, there's 3 layers to this, let's say. One is the question, how do you want to feel? And this is kind of in the realm of, in my ecosystem, desire mapping. You get clear on how you want to feel, and then you ask yourself what you have to do and have and be to feel that way. Get clear, 3, 4 desired feelings. Do you want to feel freedom? Do you want to feel vibrant? Do you want to feel inspired? Do you want to feel confident? Do you want to feel connected? Great, do that. I have had lawyers come up to me after a gig and say, I have never asked myself how I wanted to feel. And they change how they practice law or they quit. Then the next level is, and desire is a beautiful part of the journey. Really use that in your life, become the parent of your life, but that's not where we stop. The next kind of loop on the spiral is virtue, or what I would call a soul quality, where you're asking yourself, what do you want to embody? Who do you want to be? No matter what. No matter how you feel when you wake up, no matter where your hormones are, no matter how much is in your bank account, no matter what somebody DM'd you or how your father or mother voted for whatever, you're going to be this no matter what. This is the kind of unstoppability that I'm interested in. Not unstoppable to goals to prove yourself, but unstoppable in terms of, I am going to be loving kindness no matter what's going on. I am going to be in integrity no matter who rips me off. I am going to be resilient and radiant and wise no matter what. That's greatness. That's got nothing to do with hacking and slaying material things. There was a third one, which I forgot. I got so preachy about the virtues. What was the question, Rudi?
No, that's okay. So we're talking about goals and people who want to, you know, set these die-hard goals of this is who I want to be and what I want to
Oh yeah.
achieve. And you teach a beautiful, and I'm going to use that same terminology, flow state. Do you remember the word, or do you want me to
Yeah, I
go on to
got
the
it.
next
I
question?
got it. I remember the third thing. Okay. The third thing, and this will appeal to everybody right now, is thinking, yeah, but I still gotta get my revenue up. I love, love, love the whole principle of 10xing. Dr. Ben Hardy, sweet friend, genius book, 10x is easier than 2x. And in my mindset, this is all about time bending. So I'm more interested in manifesting things sooner. And I think where we really become super creators and heart-centered leaders is when we ask ourselves, like, why not sooner? So like, come up with heart-centered goals that include the question how your success is going to benefit or potentially harm other people, how you can achieve what you want in a really healthy way. It's about the love, it's about the nervous system. See, this is what I've been teaching my people lately. See your ideal life 5 years out, and then what parts of that can you make happen in the next 12 to 18 months? Because why not? Time is a construct of the mind. And when you bring people through this conversation around time, like time is a construct of the mind, they're just like, I don't get what that means. What do you mean by that? It's so basic. You are saying when you're going to launch. You have a relationship with time. You are saying what time you're going to be there. You're saying when you're going to take a holiday. You're saying when you're going to show up for dinner. You're saying, based on how I feel in the market and when I think I can get it done, I'm going to launch it, create it, whatever this time. Okay. Say a different time. Say sooner. Name the place and name the time. And my experience is when you start to think as a time bender, your memory changes. Like, I was going to build just this little functional app for my membership. Maybe we're going to launch it within 12 months. I thought, what if I just think a bit bigger here? What if I go into 10x mode? Well, 5 years from now, that app has become, the number one spiritual direction wellness app in the world. Oh, why don't I try and pull that off in the next 18 months in a healthy, sane way with life on my side? And an old app developer friend reached out, and I remembered, oh my gosh, do you know what? We built this whole structure, this app design that we just backburnered because we didn't have the funding. I'm going to find that. You start to think differently. So think bigger and then think sooner. Well, no. Think kinder, heart-centered goals, and then manifesting sooner. You think different.
I love that so much. I want to just add a note from my experience. I was working with a team. You were talking about creating lead magnets. And so my team had come to me and said, we need you to write a book. We need this lead magnet. It's got to go at the beginning of this funnel. And this is going to get people in. And they were just super excited about this. And they were giving me a timeline of, could you get this done in the next 3 months? And I was looking at everything that I had. And then I was looking at the book and the daunting task. And I didn't show up to the meeting thinking of writing a book. So I wasn't emotionally committed to this end goal. There was no Rudi heart-centered anything in that thought process. It was theirs. And then eventually I agreed to the 3-month timeline to produce this book. And someone on the team says, this isn't going to work, guys. Like, I'm really sorry. I don't mean to be that person, but we need this book like within the next 7 days. Like, Rudi, we need this, 7 days, next Monday. And I committed to writing a book in 7 days. And here's the beautiful thing is I wrote that book in 5. I would have written it in 3 months had they left me with 3 months. Had they not come to me, I would never have read the book. And so, the construct of time is really where you put the limitation on you of what is possible. What I love to remind people, and you're reminding me so beautifully as I'm learning in the midst of all this brilliance of you, that we emit the brilliance of the universe. Like, God is flowing to us and through us. And when we place a limitation on time, we're essentially just saying, well, God's not possible in this time frame. God's only possible in that time frame versus just what could the universe bring and the abundance of flow that's to us. I want to ask you as a closing question, if there was somebody who was super peaked in just everything that you've shared today, how you are, your demeanor. Before we even started and hit record, I said to you off camera, I was like, gosh, your energy is like a hug. It's like you just have this wonderful demeanor. And it's like I feel like I'm speaking to a therapist getting a hug. And I have no doubt our audience is going to have felt that from you. And so if there's somebody who wants to know like a little bit more about who do you specifically serve, who is the ideal person to come into your membership circle, or to maybe buy one of your books, or to download your app? Like, who is your ideal person that you get to serve and support?
That is a great question. You know what? In all the interviews, nobody's ever asked me who I serve. When you first said who I serve, I was like, I serve the Divine Mother. I serve universal intelligence. Okay, I'll keep this concise. We actually have two ideal customer avatars, and it was a big revelation for us to realize we have two. And so many business methodologies have you just focus on one. I have a young woman named Stephanie. So the age range of my people are like 22 to 65. It's amazing. And Stephanie is like, what's going on over there? I'm in a job. I think I want to become a coach. I'm doing yoga. I'm green smoothies, sleep hygiene. I'm in, but something is happening over in this heart-centered thing. It looks like success. It looks kind of sexy. It looks like abundant. I want in. Stephanie, if you are curious about a heart-centered life and not feeling anxious and soulful connection and your nervous system, if you don't even know what your nervous system is, sweetheart, come over. I have you. And then there is our second ideal customer avatar. We named her Elise. Elise is me 10, 15 years ago. She's on her second marriage. She's done the Eckhart Tolle workshops. She meditates. She knows what nervous system is. She wants to be of service to the world. She is feeling the heartache of global division. She cries in her kitchen. She wants to lead. She wants great sex. She wants to meditate. She knows there's something to this breath work thing, and she wants it straight up. And I give my counsel straight up. There's not a lot of extra graphics. It's pure love and 5 bullet points, because we are busy and we want to lead and we have children and we have significant others and the world is on fire. So if you are a seeker who wants it in bullet points, but it's deep, baby, heart-centered living and leadership, I'm here.
Gosh, that was amazing. I just love you. I love the work that you're doing, and I love the way that you're doing it. I have no doubt our audience is just going to be all over you in the show notes to find, follow, and immerse themselves in how you are showing up. It's such a beautiful example. You know, my wife is in a similar space, and she just adores how you show up. While you were talking, I was thinking about my daughter, who is 11 years old, 10 years old, turning 11. Sorry, she keeps reminding me she's almost 11. And just thinking about what is it going to look like when one day, you know, she starts to mirror and match herself through the examples that her mother and you and people like yourselves are leading out in the world. As a father, it's just such a beautiful thing to be able to see and to witness. I love being a dad, and I love my kids. You know, I started today saying you make it easy to do good introductions. My kids make it easy to be a good dad. They are truly a gift from God. I want to just end today by just thanking you for your time, you know, for the audience, and then as well for you, Daniela, for coming up onto the show and just pouring so beautifully into, from a heart-centered place, into our community, and then from the community for just listening, and for everybody for just taking a moment to invest in yourselves and to stretch and expand your mind and your awareness to what else is possible for you. And that just because you've been a certain way, you feel a certain way, doesn't mean you have to stay that way, and that there's always more, and there's always something on the other end of another realization, another exploitation, and we don't always have to wait for the universe to bring that to us in a painful experience, that we get to live a joyful and abundant life. I love you guys so much. I look forward to catching you in the next episode of the Empowered Life podcast. And one more time, from my heart to yours, Daniela, thank you so much for joining us.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. And we would love your support in leaving us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure to check the show notes for more information on how you can find us online and on Instagram. Now go create an amazing day for yourself, and we'll see you again soon.